All right, we are back. It is time to start the regular season of our second full season with our franchise mode NHL 18 with your Calgary Flames. Welcome to episode 14 of our franchise mode edition here. So yes, it is. It's time to start. The 2018-19 regular season here in Calgary. We left off in episode 13 with the training camp and preseason, and we left off by taking a look at, of course, the lines in both the NHL and AHL. So just in case you forgot, we'll quickly take another look just at the NHL lines, our opening day roster. This is it. Johnny Gaudreau, Sean Monahan, James Neal, your top line. Of course, the big acquisition in the summer, John Tavares centering Michael Frolik and Matthew Tkachuk. Sam Bennett's line featuring Mark Jankowski and Christopher Stieg. And then both Derek Roy, Dmitry Yaskins cracking the opening day roster, along with Michael Ferland there. Giordano Hamilton, Brody Hamnick back as our second full season with that top four. And then Joe Morrill and Rasmus Andersson had a stellar preseason. The two of them cracking the opening day roster. And of course, that left us with three scratches: Brett Kulak, Curtis Lazar, and Cedric Parquet. They all cracked the NHL team, but of course, we have to scratch them because we only have so many spots. So there it is. That's our opening day roster. We are set to kick off our 2018-19 season. We start our season on the road in Arizona against the Pacific Division rival Coyotes. And then we got back-to-back games, a home-and-home series with another Pacific Division rival, the Los Angeles Kings. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. Like I said in episode 13, we teed it all up. We did the training camp, we did the preseason, and we got everything set. John Tavares is set to make his Calgary Flames debut, the first time that number 91 will be wearing a different color than New York Islanders colors. He's wearing number 91 in Flames colors, and he's wearing an A as well this season for us with the absence of Troy Brouwer. Excuse me. All right, so here we go. Without further ado, let's jump right in. High expectations this season, as there was last season, but there is even more this season. I believe they are pegging us to be Stanley Cup favorites this season, at least one of the Stanley Cup favorites among the National Hockey League. So there we go. We kick things off in the 2018-19 season with a goal by Sean Monahan, our number one centerman, who is 88 this year, medium elite. He is growing. Hopefully he can take the step next year to being close to what John Tavares is. That's a 92. I don't see any reason why both Monahan and Gaudreau can't get themselves there. So after one period of play, the Calgary Flames and the Arizona Coyotes, the Flames have the 1-0 lead on the first of the season by Sean Monahan. The former Coyote in net for this one, Mike Smith, and he is scored on by his former teammate, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, getting the first goal of the season for the Coyotes. So we are knotted at 1. PK here. Our PK was horrible last year at 1 point, second worst in the NHL. And then our PP was also not as good as it could have been. So there's Dougie Hamilton getting on the board as well there in the second period. We have the 2-1 lead through 40. John Tavares, his first goal is a Calgary Flame. There it is. John Tavares has just scored his first goal. So that is huge. So many goals in Long Island, and finally he gets in his first game. He gets his first goal as a Flame and has put us up 3-1 here with 2 minutes to go. Can we hang on for our first win of our season? And we do. The Calgary Flames beating the Arizona Coyotes in the season opener by a score of 3-1. So exciting stuff there to see John Tavares hit the score sheet in his very first game as a Flame. So that is good. 2-point night for both Monahan and Tavares, both with a goal and an assist. Excuse me, Johnny Gaudreau getting an assist as well, so that's what we like to see. And in terms of goalies, Mike Smith, .962 save percentage. That, again, is just awesome. In episode 13, we were taking a look at the preseason and the training camp. Mike Smith and John Gillies, they split the 7 games. Smith played 4, Gillies played 3. But both Smith and Gillies, but especially Mike Smith, had an insane record in the preseason. Smith went 4-0, and I think he had something crazy like 9-6 something save percentage and 1 something goals against. Like, it was incredible. He had a stellar preseason, and he's only rated as an 82. We know how good Mike Smith was last season for us. So, I mean, like, this is exactly why I say I am comfortable with the goaltending that we have. even though our best goalie in Mike Smith is only an 82. He sure doesn't play like an 82, that's for sure. So very good opening game all around for the Calgary Flames. Tavares, Monahan, each picking up multi-point nights. Johnny Gaudreau finding the score sheet. Mike Smith with a stellar night. So here we go. This is our home opener against the Los Angeles Kings. And we have a home-and-home series with them here to start the 2018-19 season. So first game at home, home opener. It's always nice to win that one in front of our home crowd. So hopefully we can do that here. LA's got a good team. They finished what, ahead of us just below us last year. That was Anaheim that finished just ahead of us in the Pacific Division. So I think LA finished what, 4th in our division last year. Drew Doughty gets the first goal of the hockey game, beating Mike Smith. And then they get another one. Gus Nyquist is now a member of the LA Kings, so he makes it 2-0. So this is where we need Calgary to bounce back right here. I know it's only game 2 of an 82 schedule, but we definitely want to jump out to a good start here, and we're not getting it here in our home opener. Anze Kopitar, Jeff Carter also getting in on the fun on 17 shots, 4 goals. So after Mike Smith had an unbelievable night against his former team, he is not off to a hot start in this one. But there's John Tavares, 2 goals in 2 games now as a Calgary Flame. This is exactly why we went absolutely crazy, sold the farm, but in the summer we landed this guy. This is the guy that could single-handedly push us over the top. So Tavares the only goal for us in this one. We drop our home opener by the score of 4-1 at the hands of the Los Angeles Kings. So not what we wanted to see, but we will go from here. We have the second game of the back-to-back home and home series here. So Giordano and Hamilton, Giordano and Hamnet, excuse me, both a -2 in this one. Nothing really crazy in this one. John Tavares again getting the only goal on that second line. 8-5-2. So yeah, not a good night there for Mike Smith. I think, like I said, 4 goals on 17 shots. So hopefully we can bounce back now in the second game of the home and home series. That's what this is all about. So we played that one in Calgary. Now we go to Los Angeles to face the Kings again. And with 2 days off in between, we're just going to start Mike Smith again. I don't see any reason why we don't. The Kings have yet to lose. They're 2-0. We are 1-1 on the season. So let's get game number 3 of the season going. We are exactly 500. Obviously, we're only 2 games into the season. So, this is a big season. This is a big season for the Calgary Flames. We want to be winning as many games now, so we can be in a better position come April. So Sam Bennett, his first of the season, beating Jonathan Quick. That's what we like to see. That's some really solid depth scoring. There he is again with his second of the hockey game and second of the season. That depth really came through for us in the preseason. Remember, we didn't play any of our top 6 guys except for Tkachuk, Neal, Furlik in a few of the games, but that was about it. We really relied on that depth in the preseason to see what they could give us. And Sam Bennett has so far given us both the goals in this hockey game. There's Johnny Gaudreau potting his first of the season. I was just about to say his name because I was going to say, how long will it take for Gaudreau to get his first? We're expecting big things out of Gaudreau this year. Really to take that next step out of Johnny, and he's already got his first goal of the season here in game number 3. So 27 shots on net now. This is a much better effort than our last game there against LA. We have kept them off the board so far, and now we are the team that has scored 4 on 36 shots there. Dougie Hamilton, second of the season. So really liking this game, a much better game. We've held them to only 23 shots, 24 now, excuse me, and we have 38, and that looks like it will end just like that. So Mike Smith, we leave him net. He picks up his first shutout of the season. So really good effort there by Mike Smith, only facing, 23 shots, but still like 23 save shutout performance by Smith. But the biggest story of this one is our depth getting it done. 12 minutes and 14 seconds of ice time for Sam Bennett, and he goes 2 goals and a +2. 2-point night for Johnny Gaudreau. That's what we like to see as well. Sean Monahan getting a assist, as well as John Tavares stays hot, picking up a point in this one as well. And as mentioned, Mike Smith with a 25 shutout save performance there. So good stuff there all around. That's what we need to see out of our Calgary Flames. So here we go. We got our first injury of the season. We've kept the injuries on the same as they are last year, so we know how often they occurred last year. That they're going to occur the same amount this year. So Rasmus Andersson on our third pairing is out till November 15th. So that's about a whole month, just over a month. So that's a pretty big loss. This is exactly why Brett Kulak will stay in now, or will come in, excuse me. But I really like Joe Morrill, or not Joe Morrill, Rasmus Andersson and Joe Morrill in that preseason. So that's unfortunate. We have to break that pairing up, but this gives Brett Kulak the opportunity to jump back in the lineup and maybe steal his spot back. He was with us all last year in the NHL, Kulak was, and he lost his spot in training camp preseason to both Rasmus Andersson and Joe Morrill, but now he gets to come in and try and steal that spot back. So not going to make any other lineup changes after a 4-0 win there. We are 2-1 on the season, facing the 1-2 Florida Panthers. So let's just keep going here with the simming. Let's see how far we can get through here in episode 14 to kick off our 2018-19 season. So hosting the Florida Panthers here, game number 4. Come on, Calgary. And we was just about to say we yet to have a shot on net until Mark Jankowski scores his first of the season. Keith Yandel responding for the Florida Panthers. Roberto Luongo still in goal for the Florida Panthers. So at the age of, 39-40, Luongo still in goal. Still playing, the future Hall of Famer goaltender right there. And it is 1-1 after 20 minutes of play in Calgary. Second period here. And we are being outshot by the Panthers, so this is not good, but we'd like to see a little bit more offense now. About halfway through the hockey game. And this is where we really want to see our big guns come through. I mentioned John Tavares, Johnny Gaudreau, Sean Monahan. These are the guys that I want to be seeing come through. Not just, on the occasion here and there. I want to see them come through on a nightly basis now. This is the season. I mean, all of them are in their prime. We know Tavares is, 28. Monahan is, 23. Gaudreau, 24. Actually, Monahan, 24. Gaudreau, 25. So, they're really right in their prime now. This is when you want to see that out of them. Not good there as Jonathan Huberdeau finds the back of the net with just 6 minutes to go here in the third period. Come on, Calgary, can we at least tie it up and get overtime? And we do. We do with 36 seconds left. I was just about to say we do not, but Michael Ferland finds his first goal of the season, beating Luongo, probably with the extra attacker. And so we do find our the tying goal, 2-2. We pick up that point. Good push there in the third period as we are now 30-31 in terms of shots, but we do force overtime. So give me a second. I'm going to play our first overtime of the season. And there it is, boys. We have the overtime winner against the Florida Panthers. It took us to about the dying minute of overtime against the Panthers, but we do pick up the win there on the goal by Matthew Tkachuk, his first of the young season, assisted by who else? Number 91, John Tavares. It's Tkachuk, Tavares, and Brody as our second 3-on-3 unit, and they get it done there in overtime. So on their third or second shift of the overtime period. So that is what we'd like to see. Big goal there by Tkachuk, and we win 3-2. So 34-37 the shots there for the Calgary Flames. Another good night there for Mike Smith. I just wanted to show you guys John Tavares in a Flames uniform. This is pretty exciting. There he is. Or where is he here? He's right here, number 91. So I got my first look at him here in a Calgary uniform. So there he is right there. You can see he is wearing the assistant captain there. Looks pretty good in a Flames uniform, if you ask me. There it is, number 91, John Tavares, a Calgary Flame. So I still can't believe that we were able to get him in the off-season. He actually sets up Matthew Tkachuk earlier here on the play. Let's see if we can... he just passes it right here, so... It's actually a really good pass by Tavares. Gets Tkachuk, who is behind coverage there. And then Tkachuk actually goes in on the breakaway. You can see right there. Misses on the first one there, but does pick up the puck and just fires it at the net there and beats Luongo. So that's what we like to see. I like to see John Tavares, though, in a Flames uniform. That's pretty cool to see right there. So don't know if that's going to happen in real life. I highly doubt it. I do believe, like I said, in the free agent period, I think that was episode, 12 or 11, I do believe that John Tavares will hit the open market in real life. There's no doubt about it. I think his time as a New York Islander has come to an end. But now who he signs with, that's a different story. I don't know if Calgary will be making the push for John Tavares. I do think they bring back Michael Backlund. something that we obviously weren't able to do here in this game, but I think in real life, Backlund does come back, and there's no way the Flames get Tavares, but some other lucky team, one of the other lucky 29 teams in the NHL, will land John Tavares, other than the Flames or the Islanders, I believe, but we'll see what happens there. So we improved to 3-1-0 on the season. That's what we like to see, so let's keep on rolling here in the early stages of this one. Buffalo Sabres come to town, so this is a big one here. Buffalo's got, a pretty good team. All right, so we're underway here in Calgary in the first period. Dickinson gets the first goal of the hockey game, beating Mike Smith for the Sabres. I think that's Jason Dickinson. I'm not too sure. Flames down 1-0. So let's see if we can pull off another one here. Only 9 shots there in that opener for the Calgary Flames, and then they get a second one from Zemkus Girgensson and then Jack Eichel. So not looking good there, down 3-0 early to the Sabres. Can we pull another comeback? Our power play does not score. That's not what I like to see out of our power play. We do get a goal here, fourth line goal by Derek Roy, his first in a Calgary Flames jersey. So good to see Roy getting on the board. Of course, the former Buffalo Sabre. He was, of course, back in his prime when he was a member of the Sabres. Sam Reinhart beating Mike Smith, making it 4-1. So, not a... we didn't look at the stats there in the last game against the Panthers, but not the best performance here tonight again by Mike Smith. 4 goals there on 20-some shots. 5 goals now. Nicolas Delorier putting the final nail in the coffin there for the Sabres. So they beat us 5-1. So that's a pretty convincing beat down there by the Buffalo Sabres. Again, we're expected to be one of the top teams in the NHL, and we just lost 5-1. So not what you like to see. Obviously, our top players not getting it done. -2s for everybody on the top line and our top pairing. So not good stuff at all there. They all had us a nice time. Second line, not as well. John Tavares only played 15 minutes, 42 seconds in this one. Nothing across the board for him. 3 shots on goal. But Mike Smith, not a good night there. Allows 5 goals on 30 shots. .833 save percentage. So I think John Gillies will get a shot to come in for his first game of the season. We know we've got a very reliable backup in Gillies. We do have a home-and-home series now with the Minnesota Wild. So we will give Gillies the first game in Minnesota, and then we'll see how he goes from there. But did not like that game against the Sabres at all. So here's the Los Angeles Kings proposing a trade. They want to send us Gravel and a 4th for a 4th Gabriel Jones and another 4th. Okay, I'm not even going to look at that. It's already on the decline, so yeah, we will decline that trade. I'm not giving up 2 4ths and one of our top prospects for Gravel and another 4th, or however you say his name. So, not sure why the Kings would propose that trade. It didn't look like a very good trade for us. Not even close. So there's 5 games played, 5 points for John Tavares. So like to see that. 2 goals and 3 assists. He leads our team in points. So we just lost 5-1. So I'm thinking of switching things up here. I'm going to try Dmitry Yaskins there on the 3rd line. Bring down Chris Versteeg, the veteran. We'll leave the rest as is. Defensive-wise, we can't really do anything because Rasmus Anderson is injured, so we'll keep that like that. But we are going to put in John Gillies. We're going to try Gillies. And actually, you know what? I just forgot we have forwards that we can work into the lineup too. So, excuse me, instead of replacing Yaskins and Versteeg, let's see if we can bring in one of our other guys here. So, Derek Roy was okay, but on the right wing, we will try taking out Yaskins, actually, and bringing in Curtis Lazar. So, let's go back to right wingers. Give Curtis Lazar his first game of the season. Yaskins is a 78, Lazar a 77. And then we also have Cedric Pardiquette that we can work into the lineup, too, at some point. But we'll just try one lineup change for now after that loss to the Sabres. Bring in Curtis Lazar, and we will go from there. So, a home-and-home series here against the 2-3-0 Minnesota Wild. We have the flip record at 3-2-0. So, let's see if we can keep on going here. Let's simulate this one. John Gillies getting his first game as a Calgary Flame this season in. So hopefully he can get the W as well. So let's get the simming going here. We are in Minnesota. I don't know what's with all these home and home series. Excuse me. Home and home early there with the Kings, and now home and home with the Minnesota Wild. You usually don't see that, but you can definitely tell that this is the next season that the computer has to make up. The first season, excuse me, the computer completely makes up. So there is one period of play in Minnesota, scoreless after 20. Zach Parise getting on the board for the Wild. So he beats John Gillies there. They're on a power play. We do kill it off. We get the chance on the power play, and we do score. Michael Frolik on the second unit, beating Calgary native Devin Dubnyk. So this game is knotted at 1 through 40 minutes of play. Big third period here, Calgary. Big third period. Come on. This is where we got to push through, and they get the goal by Eric Stahl, but we get it right back there with Sean Monahan. I believe his second of the season. So come on, Calgary. And there it is, John Tavares. This is exactly why we acquired this guy. Remember, like I said, he could be the piece that puts us over the top. Right now in this game, he has done just that. So let's see if it stands through, and it looks like it will as Johnny Gaudreau gets in on the scoring. But Ryan Suter making it close here of 2 minutes, and then they tie it up. Matthew Dumba, the Calgary native, ties it up in the final, 2 minutes of the hockey game. So I really thought after Gaudreau and Tavares scored there, we were going to hang on, but we do blow a 4-2 lead, and they get us to overtime. So I'm going to try this one again. Hopefully we can get another overtime. It is another overtime win for the Calgary Flames. John Gillies picking up his first win of the season. 2-on-1 with Sean Monahan and Johnny Gaudreau. They don't score in the initial shot, but Monahan gets the rebound and pots it back to Gaudreau in front, and he throws it right here. He puts it in the net. Monahan with a good pass there to spot Johnny Gaudreau. Left alone in the slot, so that's what we like to see there. We do get the win much earlier in this overtime than the last one. So good game there all around. We did push back in this one. We were losing at one point. Pushed back, got a pretty good lead there at 4-2. We let them come back, but we do eventually cap off their comeback and get the OT winner. So good night all around. 3-point night for Sean Monahan, 2-point night for Johnny Gaudreau, 2-point night for Dougie Hamilton, and 2-point night for John Tavares. So all of our top players getting in on the fun. 8-9-7 for John Gillies. So not bad there. He does make 35 saves on 39 shots, including overtime. But I think with that, we will go back to Mike Smith for the second half of this home and home series. Smith has been our best player, in the last season and early in this season so far. So we'll go back with Mike Smith, and then we'll come back to John Gillies later in this month, very likely. So let's get this loaded here. So we'll sim up to our next game here against the Minnesota Wild once this menu loads. 7 points through 6 games for John Tavares. Really liking that. You can see also there in the divisional standings, we sit second right now with 8 points. I know it's early, but 6 games into the season for us, and we do sit with 8 points there. So what you like to see, of course, is just that. 1 point back up the Sharks. So let's bring Mike Smith back into this one. I didn't really notice too much wrong with our depth there, so I don't think we will worry about bringing Yaskins or who's our other guy there, Cedric Parquet into the lineup. But we will put Mike Smith back in goal. Not a bad first game for John Gillies. 8-9-9 is not bad, but I just think allowing 4 goals there here, and we got the home and home. We can go back to Mike Smith, give him the opportunity to get the net back there. So they're 2-3-1 there. We are 4-2-0. Let's see if we can get our second straight win against the Minnesota Wild here. So hopefully not as crazy as a game in terms of scoring. Definitely wouldn't like to allow 4 goals here. So they get a couple power plays. We killed them right off early in the first period. Now we get our first crack, and there's Sam Bennett. He has been hot to start this season. That's his 3rd or 4th of the season. So like to see that. 1-0 Calgary Flames after 1. We talked about it last season that this is the breakout year for Sam Bennett. I mean, last year was, which is the 2017-18 season. That's the breakout year for Sam Bennett, but this year is his final year of his 2-year contract. So, after this, if Bennett does not perform well, we don't have to re-sign him. But we don't want to lose him for nothing either. And but I think he's going to do well in this, at least in this game. He has really grown. He's already 83 right now. If he continues to grow here in this game, if he can be mid to high 80s, that's pretty good. As a depth player for us, don't forget he's not not going to be one of our top 2 centers or top 2 left wingers. We've got Sean Monahan, John Tavares down the middle, and then Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk on the left side. So we don't need to worry about Bennett being a top player there for us. So he gets another goal in this hockey game, as does Johnny Gaudreau. He gets a goal in this one. So 2-goal night there by Sam Bennett. So good stuff out of him. He may be leading us in goals early here. Johnny Gaudreau, as mentioned, getting on the board, as well as Monahan. So that's good to see. In terms of goalies, there it is. The shutout 23 save shutout performance by Mike Smith, so his second of the season. So this is why we went right back to Mike Smith, because I know John Gillies could have came in this game and probably did pretty well and probably got us another win, but I wanted Mike Smith to bounce back, and what better way to bounce back than with a shutout. So a 3-0 Calgary Flames shut out the Minnesota Wild. Back-to-back wins against the Wild after that very disappointing 5-1 loss to the Buffalo Sabres. So we are back on track, in this one. So let's go to calendars now, because that menu is so fucking slow when loading. So we will go to here, and we'll sim from here. Colorado is who we got next. We are about halfway through the month. Just taking a quick look there at Stockton. They are 4-4 on the season. So keep a watch on them. Don't forget, Stockton finished first overall in the American Hockey League last year in our first season with the Calgary Flames here in this franchise mode. So I don't obviously expect they're going to be first overall again out of the 32 teams, but I hope they at least make the playoffs again and don't get a first-round exit like they did 1 year ago. So there's James Neal. We haven't talked a lot about him in the early stages of this season. That's obviously his first of the season. Don't forget, we overpaid to keep Neal in Calgary on just before July 1, I should say. We paid him $6 million per season over 4 years. So, making $6 million a season, that's quite a bit, but he is our first line right winger, but he has yet to find the score sheet until tonight, and right now his first of the season, is standing as a big one. It was a very disappointing end to the season for James Neal as a Calgary Flame. When we acquired him from trade deadline, he came in through 17 games and put up 5 goals and 5 assists, I believe, for 10 points. So there he is with his second of the hockey game as we're talking about him. I found we talked about Sam Bennett last game, and he had 2 goals. Now we're talking about James Neal. He's got 2 goals. So who do we want to talk about in the next game? Tyson Jost making this a 1-goal affair, though, about midway through the third period. Come on, Calgary, that we got to hang on to these 2-1 wins. We got to find a way to win 2-1 games, and we do just that. So that is huge. James Neal with both of the goals for us in this one. So, like I said, not the best end to the season last year as a Calgary Flame for James Neal, but hopefully signing him to that $6 million contract, he can turn things around this year with the Flames. So Monahan assisting on both of the goals for Neal. He gets both the goals, and Gaudreau and Hamilton also picking up assists in this one as well. .973 save percentage. 37 shots faced, 36 saves for Mike Smith. So incredible game there. They threw almost 40 shots at him. They were probably outplaying us in that game, but we snuck away with a 2-1 win. So probably not, a game that we deserve to win. But we do find a way, and that's what I said. We have to find a way to win those close games, like those 2-1 hockey games. The good teams, the teams that are going to be champions, find a way to win those games, and that's exactly what we did there. So that's what you like to see out of the Calgary Flames there. So 2-1, big game by Neal, but even bigger game by Mike Smith, who has just been outstanding since coming back from that 5-1 loss. So we have the New York Rangers now. We are in Manhattan. We are in Madison Square Garden facing the Rangers, and John Tavares scores against the Rangers. How many times has he scored against the Rangers in his career? He now gets his first ever goal against the Rangers in New York as a member of the Calgary Flames. So I can bet you there's a lot of pissed off Islander fans at this one, watching John Tavares' first official, or not official, return to New York, I guess to Long Island, but first official return to the state of New York and to the city of New York, even though he never played for the Rangers. But if this is real life, I could see a lot of Islanders fans going to this game solely just to see Tavares play. But obviously, his big game will be the first game back on Long Island, when the fans will get a chance to probably. If this was real life, this is a video game. There he is. See, talking about John Tavares, he scores 2 goals. Okay, next game, Johnny Gaudreau. I want to talk about Johnny Gaudreau next game. Like, that's 3 straight games in a row where we've talked about the player, and he literally gets 2 goals. They've yet to get the third one. Tavares still has a chance to do that here tonight, but no, that's so weird. I don't know how that happens. But anyways, if this was real life, I could see Tavares, when he did return to Long Island, whoever he signs with in the NHL, when he does make his return to Long Island, I could see him getting a pretty damn good standing ovation and a video tribute from the fans on Long Island. Obviously, he spent his entire career there and, did everything there except win a Stanley Cup. So, I could see them giving him a really good tribute. So, another 2-1 win for the Calgary Flames. That's back-to-back 2-1 wins. Tavares potting both the goals this time. Last game, it was James Neal. Neal does get a point in this one, as does Gaudreau and Tkachuk. But John Tavares, 2-goal performance, and there it is. Another stellar night for Mike Smith. A .958 save percentage. So, I just can't believe that, though. Like, talking about Sam Bennett in the Minnesota game, and he scores 2 goals. Talking about James Neal in this game against Colorado, he scores the 2 goals. And then talking about Tavares in this game, and he scored. Like, how does that even happen? And there is the Islander game coming up. So I didn't think we went to Long Island on this road trip. So very early into the season, John Tavares will make his return to Long Island. He goes to New York to the Rangers first, and then we are in Philadelphia. But then he is in Long Island. So this is a six game road trip that we are on. Our first long road trip of the season. And it is going to contain the return to Long Island for John Tavares. So very exciting. Again, if that was real life, this is just a game, so it doesn't mean anything. But that would be huge if he faced his former team that early into the season. So Philadelphia, though, the home city of Johnny Gaudreau. And there he is, beating his former teammate Brian Elliott. We said it in the last game. We want to talk about Johnny Gaudreau this game, so let's talk about Johnny Gaudreau. He's a native of Cranny Point, New Jersey, and there's James Neal interrupting our Gaudreau talk. Monahan as well, okay? But Gaudreau's a native of Cranny Point, New Jersey, which of course is a suburb of Philadelphia. Even though he's from the state of New Jersey, Gaudreau really basically grew up in the city of Philadelphia. He is, I believe, a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles, of the NFL, the Philadelphia Phillies in baseball. I don't know if he's a fan of the 76ers or what there, but and I think he grew up, obviously, watching the Flyers and was a fan of the Flyers, but don't know if how big of a all-around Philadelphia fan he was. So 5-0 through 40 minutes of play. Obviously, that's what we like to see on this one, on 27 shots, against the Flyers. So that is good. Let's get the third period going here now. Matthew Tkachuk making it 6-0 with his second of the hockey game. But coming back to Johnny Gaudreau, he did idolize Daniel Briere, who, of course, played for the Philadelphia Flyers. So growing up, I believe Briere was his favorite player. And obviously, that was when he played for the Philadelphia Flyers in his prime. So, you know what? I did everything here to try and improvise and talk about Johnny Gaudreau, but he only managed to score 1 goal. Yet, we scored 7. So, I don't know. I thought I'd take a shot at it. Clearly, though, talking about those players and then they score, I've never seen that before. So big night for the Calgary Flames. They shut out the Philadelphia Flyers in a very convincing fashion, 7-0. I want to look at the plus-minuses here first. Obviously, no minuses, but +4 night for Hamonic, Neal, +3 for Brody, Gaudreau, Giordano, Monahan, Tavares, Tkachuk, Frolik, and Hamilton at +2. So what that is telling me is that it was a very good night for our top players. You'll see that reflected here in the points as well. James Neal, Johnny Gaudreau, John Tavares, with all 3-point nights. Brody, Monahan, and Tkachuk all have 2-point nights. So very good night for our top players all around. And Mike Smith obviously having the shutout performance once again tonight. 25 save shutout performance for Mike Smith. So already his 3rd shutout of the season. The Philadelphia Flyers really not good in this one. They are 4-5-2 on the season, but wow, 7-0. So that is a huge win for our team. That's nice to see our offense explode there for a big 7-0 win. So the Ottawa Senators are wanting a fourth and a fifth for Emile Poirier and a fourth, basically saying Emile Poirier for a fifth. So that is not even close. I believe a Poirier could even be in the NHL. So no, I'm not going to do that trade. So here it is. After a couple 2-1 losses, after back-to-back wins against the Wild, and then a couple 2-1 wins, excuse me, and then a convincing 7-0 win here, we finally, on this road trip, row in to Long Island, where we will face the New York Islanders, and more importantly, the storyline of this one, John Tavares makes his return to Long Island. So let's just get it right out of the way here. We are rolling. Almost done the month of October, but here is probably the game that most people in the NHL have circled on their calendars. The Calgary Flames, the New York Islanders in Long Island, in Brooklyn, if that's where they still are, as John Tavares makes his return here to Long Island. So many big games for John Tavares. I forget how many seasons he played here since being drafted by New York, first overall. I believe it was in 2008. 2007, 2008, Tavares went first overall to the New York Islanders. So Sam Bennett, Anthony Beauvillier getting on the score sheet there in the opening 20. Don't see John Tavares just yet against his former team. There's James Neal getting a big goal. So again, underestimating James Neal early in this season. He has quietly come through for us in these last few games. So that is good to see. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We can all breathe. John Tavares has just scored his first ever goal against the New York Islanders. So in his first return and first ever game against his former team, Tavares finds the back of the net past his former teammate, Jaro Halak, and he gives us the 2-goal lead. So I could only imagine this in real life. I'm just picturing this in my mind as this is happening. If this was real life, what the scene would be like, the reaction from the fans, across the NHL to see John Tavares playing a game against the Islanders and scoring. So 2 quick goals here from Frolik and Neal here in the third period. We are taking care of business quietly in this one. Obviously, the storyline as this game comes to an end will be the return of John Tavares, probably the very warm reception he got in his first game back. But quietly, the Calgary Flames come out with another really good game, 5-1 win. So another huge offensive night for the Calgary Flames. Dougie Hamilton, 3 points, 2 there for Bennett, Neal, and Tkachuk, and Tavares with the goal against the former team. But another good night there for Mike Smith. So quietly, the Flames are getting things done here in these last few games. Ever since that 5-1 loss to the Buffalo Sabres there early in the season, the Flames have really come back here, and we are on a 6-game winning streak. We are on a 6-game winning streak since that lost to the Buffalo Sabres. So I think what we'll do is we'll finish up the month here of October. We got 2 games here against the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Florida Panthers, and then we will go from there. So Pittsburgh Penguins here, we finish off our 6-game road trip, or we got the Panthers to finish off our 6-game road trip. So not making any lineup changes, of course, after some very big convincing wins. We are now in Penn State to face the Penguins. So, and this is huge. Whenever you get a road trip this early into the season, especially against big teams like the Penguins, the Islanders, the Rangers, against some pretty big teams, even the Flyers are a pretty big team. Whenever you get a huge road trip to start your season against teams like this, it's pretty huge. And if you can do really good on that road trip, it makes it even that much better. So, this is a really huge start for Calgary. Don't underestimate that for sure. So after 20 minutes of play, scoreless in Pittsburgh, Flames and Penguins, Johnny Gaudreau getting on the board there for the first time in this one, beating Matt Murray. 1-0 Flames through 13 shots on net. I think it was the 12th shot that Gaudreau scored. So good to see that. We are just about through 40 minutes of play here. And Johnny Gaudreau finds the back of the net. Big season here for Johnny. Like I said, he was obviously one of our top players last year, but hoping that he can really come through again this year for us. This is when he's got to take the step. He's 25 years of age. He's obviously a elite superstar in this league, but can he really pull through here for us? But John Tavares just continues to be the storyline, along with Mike Smith early in the season. Every time, we were just, okay, well, I should stop talking here because they've just made it a 1-goal game again. But I was just about to say, and they tie it up. So good thing I stopped talking there for a second. So I was just about to say, though, that whenever it came to a close game, it always seems like John Tavares is there to put us back in front. But he did do that, but then they get 2 quick goals from Hornquist and Hagelin. So unfortunately, we're going back to overtime, so give me a second. So an absolute snipe by Phil Kessel ends the hockey game, so we officially go 2-1 this season when it comes to extra time in overtime. Just an absolute snipe there by Phil, the thrill. So we dropped this one obviously, but do pick up the point. I won't like this one though, because we did come back, or we did have the lead in this hockey game and blew it. We had a 3-1 lead at one point in this hockey game. The Pittsburgh Penguins snap a 2-game losing streak and find a way to beat us in extra time. So our first extra time loss of the season. As mentioned, we are now 2-1 through 3 times going to extra time in this season early. A 2-point night for Frolik and Tavares on that second line. Really strong night for them. 8-7-5 for Mike Smith. Probably one of his weaker nights in recent games here. So, but that's okay. We weren't going to go perfect on this road trip. I think we had a 6-7 game winning streak going into that game. So we knew we were probably going to lose at least one game on that road trip. It would have been incredible if we went completely 6-0 on that Eastern road swing, but we have a chance to still finish off the road trip in good fashion here, and on a winning note, excuse me, and it is on back-to-back nights. So again, keeping this realistic, plus the fact that Mike Smith had a somewhat of a poor night there against the Penguins, we will put John Gillies back in goal. So we'll give Gillies another shot here to end off the month of October. So what has been a very, very solid month of October for us. So let's go here to goalies. Let's put John Gillies in net, and we will go from there. So I think we'll end the episode 14 after this. I think it's running, I don't know how long it's been running. I shut my timer off, but over 30 minutes, so we obviously want to make sure this episode doesn't go too long. So we will finish off the 7-3-2 Florida Panthers. This is not going to be easy. They're a pretty good team. We did beat them earlier already in the season, very early in the season there in overtime. So can we make it 2-2 and sweep the season series? We only meet them, of course, twice in one season, being from the Eastern Conference. 2 quick goals here from Michael Frolik. Like I said, he had 2 points in the last game. That's 2 more goals for him in this game, so very good last couple of games out of Frolik. The second line stays hot with Matthew Tkachuk, but they do get a goal back there, making it 3-1. Just about 20 minutes of play in the books here in this one. But 3 goals from our second line there, so like to see that. Hopefully Tavares was in on all 3 of them as well. Threw it on 11 shots too, so not bad. So Dan Orov has his second of the hockey game. They are making this a 1-goal game at this point. So we'll see if we can hang on here. So lots of time to go in this hockey game. So come on, Calgary. We gotta, like I said, we gotta find a way to win these close games. And Yuri Talusli makes it a tie at 3-3. So come on, Calgary. Here's our power play, and they score. I don't know if that was shorthanded or what, but Tommy Wingels puts them out front. So they have come back from I don't even know what the score was. Michael Frolik gets the hat trick, so that's good to see as we tie the game up. First hat trick of the season goes to Michael Frolik. I would have not have guessed that. If I had to guess any player on the Flames to score a hat trick first in the season, probably would have went with Gaudreau, Tavares, Monahan, Tkachuk, maybe in that order. I definitely wouldn't have had Frolik probably even in the top 10. But he does get the first hat trick of the season. We have to go back to extra time, so let's see if we can go 3-1 when it comes to extra time. All right, 2 for 2. 2 for fucking 2 when it comes to extra time this season. So not what I like to see, obviously. Well, I was wishing for a better start to our season when it came to extra time, but we do go 2 for 2 in the month of October on games that went past 60 minutes of play. And 2 of them were against the Florida Panthers. We did win the first one in overtime, but we lost the second one in overtime. So I don't even know who scored there, but Michael Frolik getting the hat trick in this one. Not a good game because I believe, once again, we were in the lead, and they found a way to come back and obviously win this hockey game. But we do pick up a point, and we really got to appreciate those extra points, especially against the Eastern Conference. So just, again, looking here at the stats, really good night there for our second line. As you can see, a hat trick performance by Michael Frolik. John Tavares assisted on all 3 of them. Not the best night there for John Gillies, so Mike Smith will get the net back. But yeah, don't underestimate these games against the Eastern Conference, especially when we can pick up 1 point. Even though we lost it, even though we'd rather get the win, getting that 1 point was huge. So pretty good start to the 2018-19 season for the Calgary Flames. I believe we improved to 9-2-2. So yeah. I knew it was 9-something, and it's 9-2-2. So that's good enough for first place in the Pacific Division with 20 points, 4 points up on the Vancouver Canucks, who are second, 5 points up on the San Jose Sharks, who are third. So yeah, that's what you'd like to see. Through 13, I mean, we did play the most games out of anybody in the Pacific, 13 games, but through 13 games, we are number one in our division. Through 13 games. John Tavares leading us in points with 18. So, you know what? Did I think that John Tavares would lead us in points this season? Again, there's still lots of hockey to go in the season. We're only 13 games into an 82 game season. But I don't know if I expected John Tavares to be leading us in points, but I expected him to definitely be up there. But don't forget, he did finish second overall in the entire NHL in both goals and points last season. So maybe no surprise that John Tavares is leading us. I just thought maybe it would be Johnny Gaudreau, but if you know what, I'm not complaining if it's John Tavares. I love to see the fact that we picked him up, and he's got 18 points through 13 games. So that is that. We will end this episode here. We will start the month of November against the Detroit Red Wings in episode 15. But episode 14 coming to an end here. And a pretty good month of October. You know what? Somewhat pretty good. Pretty consistent, I should say. Consistency was our biggest problem last year, and we have found a way to be more consistent, at least through 1 month. Again, very small sample size, only 13 games in, but I like what I'm seeing so far out of the Calgary Flames, out of Mike Smith, out of John Tavares, out of everybody through 13 games. So we will end this episode here, and we will pick up episode 15 in the month of November 2018-2019.